Comrades, tonight I'm also an active member of Lambeth Save Our Services, also the Croydon Anti-Cuts campaign, a member of Unite, a branch secretary of that union. I came actually to the conference not to relive the 1980s at all. I came to the conference because I believe that we need a strategy to answer the economic and financial crisis. I also know that we face a global capitalist crisis, not just an attack by ideologically driven bunch of Etonian millionaires, but an actual capitalist crisis. And that crisis is not going away. Some estimate that up to half of the toxic debt that brought down the banks in 2008 is still in the system and will lead to a crash within the next year. The number of countries with a budget crisis grows, not just Greece, not just Portugal, Spain, Ireland, but Italy, the United States, and here in Britain. Any one of those could further trigger a financial meltdown, which could turn the recession into outright depression. That's really what we have to face. June the 30th, our response was magnificent. We have to consider, though, what comes next. We have a political crisis as well as an economic crisis. In Spain and Greece, the political system is seen as part of the problem. Why? Because they have already effectively merged with corporate power in those countries. So-called socialist governments in these countries are actually carrying out the bidding of the bankers and the money lenders. The socialists of Portugal, remember those people? They were thrown out, but they were still carrying out the cuts that were being demanded by international capitalism. In Britain, remember Britain? New Labour facilitated the expansion of globalisation. It deregulated finance, remember that? And it watched as millions of householders and consumers went into heavy debt. And then what did it do, this New Labour? It then bailed out those very banks. If they were in power today, comrades, we would still be seeing high level of cuts and services and pensions. We would today be in conference, but we would be fighting Labour if they were in power. You see, we had a situation of Labour councils this year, all facing up to the terror of what was being imposed on them by the government. The cuts were being imposed. There wasn't one Labour council in the country had the guts to say no to the Tory Liberal Democratic government. Not one council. In fact, I've found it very difficult to even find one councillor, with the exception of Kingsley Abrams in Lambeth, that said no to the cuts. Now that's a situation which is unacceptable to the movement as a whole. On pensions, Miliband is hoping that he can do a deal. And the deal can be stitched up with the government, not to have workers succeed, but to avoid confrontation. He sees no alternative to what the government is doing. That's why he's opposed to strikes. He sees no alternative, and if in power, will be doing the same. Really, comrades, you have to face up to the politics, and I accept I've got just a minute or so more. And that is the question, can we continue to offer Labour as the alternative? Can we continue to do that? Now, I don't believe that we can. I think that really we have to also, as part of our strategy, to propose the situation that not only do we bring down the government, but that we also have to work out with the people who are coming into the movement, who are coming into the struggle. We have to work out alternative political, organizational issues which in the past we have faced up to. Comrades, there are many people outside of the organized labour movement that have to come into this struggle and will be brought into the struggle. We have to sit down with them and not discuss some cobbled up organization to win a few votes at an election. What we have to discuss with them is real alternative economic answers to capitalism. We also have to talk about real alternative political answers of political organization. Now, when I joined the movement, and I read one or two of those books that were circulating at the time, they called it socialism. And I thought that sounds quite attractive. And I thought, well, that's really what we were doing. Now, I didn't think that when I joined the movement in 1949, the Young Socialists, or the Labour League of Youth, that today, some 60, 70 years later, I'd be still thinking about it. Well, comrades, I believe that as part of our strategy, it's not just to unite people, to organize people, but it is also to give them a hope of something different. It's called socialism. Let's do it, comrades.